bet.
Meeting will come to order. Welcome to the regular board meeting in the Nevada Irrigation District Board of Directors, March 25th, 2026. You'll all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Division 1 is absent. Division 2,
Here.
Division 3,
Here.
Division 4,
Present.
Division 5.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll have public comment for any item that's not on the agenda. Anything you'd like to talk to? Go ahead, sir. We'll ask you, keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
I'll try to make it pretty short. First thing I want to talk about is the 1 week shutdowns during the winter. We have our water turned off for over a week at a time. And one, we're not reimbursed for the lack of water we've been paying for. And number two, it's really hard when you have cows, horses, and farms that need the water for irrigation. That's number one. Number two, notification we were getting on the shutdowns and things that you people do. And it's always by the USPS mail. It'd be better off if you set up a system where people are notified by email, because that's the only thing that really goes through. Number three, on weekends, your staff who repairs and takes care of issues that we have takes the weekends off. A lot of times our water box, the distribution box gets plugged up and we can't get water back on again till about Tuesday. You know, it's not your employees' problems, but you need somebody on weekend who can handle smaller issues. Number three is a distribution plate. When we do make a change, discovered a while back that we upped our amount of water that we wanted, but our distribution plate was never changed. I would like it when we make a water change that somebody is there as a representative to make sure that we are getting our distribution correctly. That's it. We're from the Wilkes Pipeline Association on the Vernon Canal. Dave Tanner, President Association.
Our staff will reach out and work with you on all those issues. Thank you for bringing them to our attention.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Lily Marie Mora. I'm a raw water customer at the Personini Ranch, and I'm a treated water customer on Alta Vista Avenue in town. So I came today because I'm encouraging the board to develop a statewide coalition with other water agencies and other well, actually, everybody in the state needs water, so obviously it's important to everybody. But to address the large infrastructure project issues, if we develop a coalition, we can lobby for state and federal monies, because to expect us, whether you're an old lady in town on treated water, or whether you're a raw water ag customer, or a brewery or whatever that uses a heck of a lot of water, to keep fronting the 62.5% increase across the 5 years. This is just the first one. You know, these dams are going to keep breaking different ways. And so we're going to have to deal with that in another way. So I've already spoken to the Farm Bureau, and Dave Galena will come up and address a bit of that. I've already started talking to the city councils and the board of supervisors, and I haven't gotten to Circle yet. But, you know, Circle mentioned in a training a long time ago that there are 1,500 dams in California. They're over 50 years old, and 600 of them are high hazard dams like Oroville. Well, we can't afford to pay like we did with Oroville. So we've got to deal with prevention on the front end when we have these problems. And we've talked about farmers and ranchers being part of CAL FIRE, so we should be able to get CAL FIRE money. There's FEMA money through, there are two ways with FEMA that have dam safety projects through them, and the USDA somehow. It's an election year this year, and it's an election year in 2 years. So if we develop the state coalition fast, we should be able to pressure our politicians and who they work for up there in these next 2 years. So we should be able to do this. And we need to remember that California is the fourth leading economy in the world. So these dams aren't just important to us in Nevada County, they're important to the whole damn world. And damn, haha, didn't mean that. Anyway, and so we all need to work together, not fight against each other, but work together on whatever rules we need to follow. And so I'm asking for a subcommittee to be developed to get this coalition happening ASAP. And I know that there's the, what is it called? The Resilience Committee is coming up. We'll be there. Things like that. And then that's that. And I think this is definite with your strategic priorities of one, long-term infrastructure and water supply reliability. I think it falls under that. And especially under number 4, financial stability, which are your strategic priorities. So I feel like we're on with that. I don't know all the other rules that you follow and go from there. Now, I guess I'll have to make another public comment on 4B that's on the agenda, agricultural water management plan. I just saw that. And so I don't see a lot of ag people in the community for commenting on that. Maybe they all called in, but I think they're all working hard to get ready for irrigation season. So I'll come back up.
Thank you, Lily. Anybody else, anybody online like to comment this morning on items not on the agenda? This person doesn't have their hand raised. Okay. All right. Thank you. We will go on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, is there any board questions about the consent? None?
Hey,
Any go ahead.
On Rollins, I thought we were pretty far down the line knowing how much sedimentation was in there and I thought that's quite a increase.
It's actually to allow for work to be done above water level to obtain LiDAR data so that we can understand any elevation impacts related to any potential storage projects. And it'll also help us with sediment removal above the water line.
That's my major concern, to get that sediment out of there. But LiDAR isn't that expensive, is it?
Well, so we're doing, there's 2 parts to it. So the first part that came before the board a couple of weeks ago was related to the underwater bathymetric survey. This work is related to doing the LiDAR above water surface elevation.
It's an addition to what we talked about.
Yeah, no, I understand. But I mean, I have a friend buying a LiDAR drone.
That's
Oh, well, we should have.
yeah. So the data we're collecting will be survey level that we can incorporate into future projects. So it's just a higher level of survey.
Yeah, I get it. I don't like add-ons.
I agree. I don't blame you.
Speaking of add-ons, my question is about 3F, the CIP contract for the watershed. Is the additional money for the bond? Is that what that's for?
Correct.
Okay, I guessed it. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Just a clarification, I think was answered, is that the vehicles that we're purchasing, the 350s are diesel.
Correct.
I'd hate to have a 350 gasoline put onto them.
Okay, is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Consent agenda. Go ahead.
That is 3.
Again, 4B, agricultural water management plan update, public hearing.
Lily, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's a general order. We'll cover that separately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Item.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next,
let me
two
know
items
when I'm
down,
supposed
yes.
to get up.
We're almost there.
yeah, this is just the consent agenda. Okay, anybody else? All right, Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 2.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. General orders, number 4A, water supply update, surplus water declaration. Good morning, Chip.
Morning, board staff and public. Chip Close, Director of Water Operations. And as I wrote this staff report the other day, I reflected on the fact that it's been nearly 3 years since I've been before this body asking for a normal water year and a potential surplus water declaration. So what a change. And that's all thanks to the ongoing PG&E outages. We're fortunate, though, that this year they seem to be on track and they want to get us water by the end of April. They seem to be continuing to hit that goal, so that makes a normal water year potentially possible this year.
Are you talking about purchased water from them?
So all the above, and we'll get into that here in just a second.
Thank you.
So basically, for those of you that have not been through this before, there's a couple of you. Every year, as required by the district's water shortage contingency plan, prior to the start of irrigation season, we come before this body with an analysis of how much water we have in storage, what our forecasted snowmelt runoff is, how much PG&E purchased water is available. And we take all of this data and we crunch it together to determine, is there enough water for a normal summer irrigation season? And whether or not we have more than we need for our internal customers and whether surplus water may be available for some limited number of outside customers. So again, it's been a while since we've done it, but here we are. We're ready to go through the numbers. And I do have the slide presentation for you. We'll walk you through it. A couple things I need to mention. Number one is the slide that you're going to see today, the slideshow you're going to see today is different than what's in the packet. And that's because the packet was a couple of weeks ago and the data is a little bit old, a little bit stale. So I've tried to update the numbers with the most current stuff. It's all very close, but just so you know why it doesn't match. So I thought I'd bring that up. And then the other thing is this is very similar to what I provide to you guys on an ongoing basis. The only difference is there's forecasted numbers in here. That's where you're going to see the big change. So moving on into the presentation here. There we go. So our Bowman Lake precipitation reporting station shows 57.58 inches of rain, which is actually 106% of average for this time of the year. So it's hard to fathom that because it feels like it's been dry forever, but that's where we sit today. That is below the normal end of the season average, which is 69.4. So we're about 10 inches behind. There is some rain in the forecast, though. I'm going to continue to perfect that rain dance because we do need it for sure. So anyway, overall precipitation, 106% of average. NID reservoir storage continues to be the bright spot at 252,000 acre feet, which is 115% of average this time of year. Again, we've talked about this before. Most of that is because we didn't have access to the upper country reservoirs the last 2 years in a row. So those reservoirs remain full today. We'll get to the challenge here next. So this is the March 1st NID snow survey water content, and it came in at 65% of average, which it's not great. But I will tell you, it's been hot since then, and this number has drastically dropped. And I'm going to skip this for a second and show you. Here's the statewide snowpack, and you can see back at the beginning of March, we were doing pretty good. Then that heat wave hit, and you can see how drastically the current snowpack has dropped. That's the red line there. The blue lines there are averages, but yeah, so that heat wave really, really depleted the snowpack. So given that, we have run the remaining water content in the system at about 49%. It's probably a little bit less than that now with that last heat wave. TOR and our hydro team have actively worked together to close the spill gates on Bowman and Jackson Meadows to try to capture all the snow melt that's left. So kudos to them for catching this early on and closing those gates and trying to capture what we can. So then the magic slide. This is our forecast for the remainder of 2026. And you can see our reservoirs are way above average right now. When you forecast that out, along with the pretty dismal runoff that we anticipate, we end the season at 160,700 acre feet. So still in pretty good shape, a little bit below average, but really pretty decent considering the very light snowpack. Moving across the state, the story's basically the same as us. All reservoirs are full. That is going to drop rapidly through the summer due to the lack of snowpack, but we're starting off the season at a very good spot. And here's the latest statewide snow water content. Look at the north is only at 10% of average. That's very bleak. The Central Sierra sits at 30% of average, and then the Southern Sierra is at 46% of average. I showed you that slide. And then this slide, the drought monitor, finally we have some abnormally dry creeping into the forecast. That's really due to the lack of snowpack up there in the north. And then the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook is normal for us. And then look at that, we have some rain moving back in, thank goodness. So
Is that
just
rain or snow?
it's a little bit of both. The temperatures are a little bit warmer. So the snow level looks like about 6,000 feet, but you know, right now it's early, so it's hard to tell.
We have a potential for capturing some more runoff.
They do
Storage and runoff.
they do anticipate some snow at the higher peaks, so that's good news. And right before irrigation season, we could really use that shot in the arm. That'll be great. Help us to slow roll these canals. And then the forecast for April looks like it's going to be warm, and then they go back to dry conditions after this next round of rains. So with that, when you look at our total water availability right now, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 279,000 acre feet. This well exceeds the 235,000 acre feet where we would contemplate turning on the drought contingency plan or the water shortage contingency plan. So with that in mind, the staff is recommending that we adopt the resolution and making a declaration of surplus water availability for 2026. But I'll open it up to your questions.
Director Stevens.
I have a couple questions here, and just for clarifications is that I want to validate or make sure that any water we're selling outside of district, we're not selling cheaper than what we can sell it in districts. We're recovering that money for hydro division for rates and stuff like that. So I know that we have outside customers. We have 16 customers, but we're only getting 15 and a half of them paying. And then 17 miners inches, only 16. We're collecting only 16 miners inches.
Yes. So let's start with the pricing. The pricing for anybody outside of the district currently has an 8 times multiplier to it. So yes, they are paying. Well, let me rephrase that. So the municipalities are paying an 8 times multiplier factor. The just regular outside district customers are paying a 25% surcharge on top of what the normal rate is. All of that's about to change as we go through this next rates process, and we'll clarify all that. But yes, everybody outside the district is paying more than a regular customer.
They will no longer benefit from property taxes.
Correct. And that's what we're addressing in the new rate structure. So that's a good thing. The 16 customers that we do have outside of the district are old customers from way back when. We no longer allow this. We stopped doing this way back in like 1995, something like that. Basically because our water rights don't support it. And they've been grandfathered in, so we're just keeping them along. But we don't allow any new customers outside the district to connect unless we do a water transfer, and that's a different discussion. That's not really what we're discussing here today. And then what was the next half of that?
The next of it was they're basically PG&E and the outages coming up and how that's going to impact this year or next year or anything else in that thing.
Yeah, good question. So PG&E is in the midst of an outage as we speak. They're working on Spalding 2 and buttoning that up. And they're also working on Fuller. The Spalding powerhouse situation should be completed by the end of April. And then the Fuller Lake repairs should be done by May 11th. That's what they're forecasting. What that means is we'll have access to the Bowman, Jackson Meadows reservoirs early this year. We'll be able to import that water into our Scotts Flat and Rollins reservoirs. And potentially it's a semi-normal year for us bringing that water across. We did not have access to that water the last 2 years.
So even if the gods to be in the irrigation, precipitation don't materialize, you don't foresee us being in a drought condition this year?
I don't. Current conditions warrant us having a normal year. Now, a little bit of that is gambling on next year and having an average winter. And as long as we do, we're going to be just fine. I don't think we can base every year on next year's gamble, right? So you
No,
just have to
agreed.
take the numbers we have currently, apply them to our plan, and then,
Well, I was just referring to this year, you know.
yeah, no, this year we're going to be fine. That 160,000 acre foot of carryover at the end of the year is actually a pretty good number.
As long as we can get access to it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's our benchmark, average, historic benchmark for carryover?
Um,
110 or something?
It has varied, it changed because if you remember back in 2013, we gained about 10,000 acre feet in Rollins through the PG&E negotiations. So that skewed that carryover number. But historically in the past, it was somewhere around 120 to 140. So we're in pretty good shape.
So we sort of gamble, but we sort of plan for
Yeah.
a carryover. So it's kind of a combination of both.
It's an analysis of both. Where are you at for April 1st? Can you meet the summer needs? And then where will you be at the end of irrigation season? You need to carry over at least enough water to supply the public health and safety needs for all the treatment plants and all of that, which is only really about 90,000 acre feet. So we're well ahead of the game this year.
Good. Any other questions, comments from the board?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Fuller has been defined the problem and PG&E can fix it?
So the outage we're experiencing right now is really just about exploration on the facility itself. There will be more to come when they get the data back from the analysis they're doing in this outage.
So we're anticipating they can fix it and they won't have to lower the level of that lake.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say we're just on an exploratory analysis right now, and it may come back that there are more repairs needed. But again, it's not an NID facility. We're going to try to keep those communication lines open and plan for whatever we need to.
Yeah, probably not time to go in what if, but once we find out, you'll come right back to us.
Yeah, you got it.
So for everybody, that Fuller is a critical part of getting our water here.
Yep.
So at 160 carryover, fall water, winter water,
So
what would happen then? We would still vote if we're going to do fall water?
correct, yes.
And that, I mean, again, they're thinking El Nino, really hot summer, that could change everything. Okay, and then winter water, we're going to explore.
Yes, we have not sent the billing out for winter water yet. As conditions change, we can always come back and reanalyze that. But as of right now, it is the conditions support a normal season for both of those.
Okay. Because we were at 255,000 acre feet last week. We're at 252. That lowering evaporation or winter water?
It's a little bit of moving some water through the system, but now that we've been authorized to close the gates at Jackson Meadows and Bowman, I expect that to go up a little bit. However, we are starting to ramp up for irrigation season, so it will be short-lived.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. No, you guys have been right on forever. So it appreciate the numbers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
My last question is back to Fuller. Do they, in the event of an outage for repairs there, do you still have capability of pass-through for our water?
At this point in time, no. We would have to come up with some alternate plan to get water into the canal.
Just what we need, another season of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gabe as well as Peter have started an initial analysis
See?
on how to bypass. Yes.
Good, okay.
Okay, so with that, again, staff is recommending the adoption of Resolution 2026-10, declaring surplus water conditions for 2026.
Thank you, Chip. Is there any public comment on this resolution? Any public comment online? Okay, I entertain a motion.
I move to accept resolution. Is that right? I move to accept adopt resolution 2026-10, declaring surplus water conditions for 2026.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Secretary, you call the roll, please.
Yes. Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 2.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chip. Thanks for a great report.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for the support.
And he looks like he's staying at the podium, right? Next item is agricultural water management plan update and public hearing. We'll have a presentation on that first. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'll do a little intro here and then
Okay.
we'll hand it over, do a little presentation, and then we'll open it up to a public hearing. But I'll start it off with saying we're here before you today with the Ag Water Management Plan update. This is officially the 2025 update. We're required to do these updates every 5 years. And basically, it's any agricultural water supplier that provides water to more than 25,000 irrigated acres. And the plan itself addresses the district's water system. It includes a description of the service area, water uses, water resources, as well as a comparison of water supply and water demand throughout the planning cycle, which was the last 5-year window. And it also describes the district water supply and reliability and efficiency information, as well as updates our drought and water shortage contingency plans. The good news is the Department of Water Resources puts out a guidebook every 5 years for us to follow. It's basically an instruction manual on what they want to see in this document. There were no changes, no drastic changes in the last update. So the district basically used a lot of the old plan and updated our numbers, which was appropriate, but then took this opportunity to fold in the plan for water process and data into this document, which was really cool. We were very fortunate to be able to bring West Consultants as well as David's Engineering and a little bit of Western Hydrologics back to NID to help us update this plan and incorporate that information. So that's really cool. Very happy to be able to do that. So we're going to bring up West Consultants, and who's going to start us off? It's Lindsay. Great. And they will give you a presentation on the plan. And then when that's wrapped up, I will come back to the podium and discuss a couple little typos that we found. And then I anticipate we'll open it up to public hearing. Lindsay, you can have a seat or use the podium, whatever you prefer. Okay, good. And there's the clicker. There.
Hello, board. Hello, public. My name is Lindsay Otto. I am with West Consultants. I'm joined here today with Luciana Kindo da Cunha, also from West Consultants. And presenting remotely for a slide is Katie Klug from David's Engineering. So here is the update. Let's see if I can master this clicker quickly. All right. In this presentation, we're going to go over a quick overview of the AWMP or the Ag Plan. Chip already gave us a great update, so we'll just breeze through that, then go through the schedule of what we've been up to and what will be in the future, and then continuing on through the contents, the criteria for development, and we'll take a moment to talk a little bit more in depth about Chapter 5 and Chapter 6, where we saw more of an update and the plan for water being incorporated as opposed to the other chapters, which we just updated the numbers and what your efforts for efficiency, what those have been. And then we'll get to Q&A. All right, as Chip mentioned, it's required by DWR, particularly by the Agricultural Water Management Planning Act. It's very descriptive. DWR tells us what they want to see. There's some wiggle room in that where we can, identify that we are a unique system here and put those needs into the plan, but it's very prescriptive. We need to adopt it by April 1st, so we're about a week out from that. And the purpose is essentially to ensure compliance and to support your strategic decisions, which is why it's so important that we've incorporated the plan for water into that, as that is your main document that is supporting your strategic decisions for the future. And it's important to do this because non-compliance means that the DWR will force you to hire someone that you do not choose to do this for you, and it will likely then be more expensive. And it would make you non-eligible for any future DWR grants that you would want to grab in this next 5 years. All right, so this is what we have been up to. The guidelines came up in September. You might see a brief little typo. We did not get started December 2026. We got started in December 2025. That's when, in November and December, that's when we really got off to the races and began working with Chip and Tor and Tanya. The first public notification of this update went out in December. A second notification went out in January. We notified you in December as well. We submitted the draft to the board a month ago. It became available on the website earlier this month for the public. And today we are voting for it. As I mentioned before, we have about a week until our deadline for adoption is, so that does give us some room. And then the last date for DWR submission is May 1st. Though it's important to note that you also have a 30-day deadline once you do adopt. So if we adopt today, then that deadline becomes April 24th instead. And then we wait for 5 years and start this all over at the end of 2030. All right, so this is the content of the Agriculture Water Management Plan. This is just a list of the chapters. I've bolded here water budget and climate change because, as I mentioned before, that is where you'll see the majority of the significant changes from the 2020 plan to the 2025 plan. And just to remind you what the criteria for development is, it's the DWR template. We did not deviate too far from that. Sticking close to it means that DWR will have fewer questions and will have an easier time going through it and identifying that we have covered everything that they want in it. There was no changes from the 2020 plan, no major changes. And if we stick to the template, that should make the 2030 plan easy to update once that rolls around in 4.5 years. So what did we use as our main source other than the NID data that we were able to grab from you guys? We used the plan for water for a lot of our updates. On the next slide, Katie will talk about how that went into chapter 5. And then we used 2020 because we were not seeking to reinvent the wheel. So a lot of it was taking the old plan and making the minor to moderate changes that were required. So with that, I will pass it to Katie online.
Thank you, Lindsay. Yes, so as Lindsay noted, the water budget or the water balance is in Chapter 5 of the Ag Water Management Plan. And this is really an accounting of NID's water supplies available for agriculture and how and where they're used. So the focus here in the Ag Water Management Plan is on the raw water system. The water budget brings together an inventory of NID's water supplies, which is also covered in Chapter 4 of the Ag Water Management Plan. So that covers, the raw water system inflows, and also the water budget summarizes where and how that water is used. So all of the outflows from the raw water system. The section also includes an evaluation of water use efficiency. So as with the other components of the Ag Water Management Plan, as Lindsay went over, DWR and the Ag Water Management Plan regulations do require very specific updates to the water budget. Those updates are prepared on an annual time step on a water year basis, with DWR's water year being from October 1st through September 30th. And those updates are provided for the recent 5 years. And the water budget, as I noted before, does account for all the inflows and outflows to the raw water system, including very specific flow paths or sources and uses of water that DWR requires we report for. So getting into the updates for this Ag Water Management Plan, we prepared water budget updates for the most recent 5 years from water year 2021 through 2025. Beginning from the end of the prior 2020 Ag Water Management Plan water budget. And the information that we used to prepare those updates was nothing new. It was really just, bringing in first the plan for water demand model. So we leveraged that demand model that was developed and discussed extensively and documented in the plan for water process. And we updated that using the same data sources and processes that were used in the plan for water and just brought that through 2025 and used that to quantify the crop demand components of water use. So that would be the evapotranspiration, effective precipitation, the water uses on the landscape. And then for other water uses and destinations and sources of water, we used the different data sources and records from NID. And that was also consistent with data sources that we used in the plan for water process. So again, as Lindsay noted, not recreating the wheel here, just taking the processes that had already gone through much public discussion as part of the plan for water and just updated those through 2025. And so that was the basis for updating the water budget in the Ag Water Management Plan. So now I'll turn it over to Luciana to discuss the climate change updates.
Put this down a lot. Good morning. It's really nice to be here again and see you all. So what I'm going to be discussing today is chapter 6 of the Ag Plan, which is related to climate change. I have been here discussing that before for the Plan for Water, and I want to re-emphasize what Lindsay and Katie mentioned. The Plan for Water was finalized in 2024. We are not updating that, but we are using a lot of the data and the tools that were developed during that plan to update the Ag Plan, which is an ideal scenario here. If you were here during the Plan for Water, you saw this schematic many times. The Plan for Water didn't only look at the past, we also look in the future. We use 3 different models. We use the demand model that Katie already described. We use the hydrological model and a reservoir operation model to really try to understand long-term reliability of water in the NID area. One way that you can look at those 2 different plans is like the Plan for Water was specifically designed for NID situations, while the Ag Plan is very prescriptive, and it's a single template for every water user, water provider in the state. So it was not done for NID. So we had to get that tool that was specifically done for NID and adapt it, summarize it for the Ag Plan. So nothing new, but we used a lot of the things that we have worked on before. Just to remind everybody, the Plan for Water was NID commitment to provide a reliable future water supply to the community. And we looked at different strategies that could be used to improve supply in the future. So the plot in the right was one of the main outcomes of the Plan for Water, where we look at those different strategies. With that, we are open for any questions.
All right, so I'd like to jump in here real quick. So we're almost to the part where we're going to open a public hearing, but I would like to highlight a few corrections that we would like to point out here before we open it up for comment, just in case anyone else caught it. We'd like to point it out beforehand. So in your packet, if you go to page 50, which is actually the darker number at the bottom right corner, it's page 30 of the Ag Water Management Plan. It shows a table of the agricultural crop data for 2021 through 2025. If you scroll down that chart, when you get to nuts and pistachios, you're going to see that as you scroll across, there are no purchases for irrigated acres for nuts and pistachios. But when you extend that out, there's actually a total in the miners inches sold. That's just a missed line there. So basically what we need to do is take that 4.36 and move it down. That should have been 0. So basically we have to shift all those bottom lines down a notch.
Clarification on that. So the other exempt is the 3,000 miners inches?
The 3,000 miners inches is actually family garden orchards.
Okay.
And that makes more sense, right? I mean, I appreciate you bringing this up.
I couldn't figure out.
That is a very widely used category, and it captures everything from just what it says, gardens and orchards, to all the way to water and lawns. So
I couldn't figure out how the parks were using so much.
yeah, so those are some big parks, right? So anyway, I just wanted to highlight that. We will, if we move to adoption of this today, then we will definitely make these corrections. You'll also notice throughout the document, especially chapter 1, there are areas that are highlighted in yellow. Those are yet to be completed because until we adopt it, we don't know what dates to plug into some of this stuff. So that's why you see some areas in yellow in your packet.
Oh, insert date.
So with that, staff is recommending we open a public hearing and get everybody's input.
I have one question to start.
Before the hearing. Okay, go ahead.
Well, just a clarification on the document. When do I come in for
You
that?
can do that right now. Yeah.
On large number 26, section 2.1 of the plan, physical characteristics. I can read this two ways. I've been told that it basically says that there is no groundwater used for ag irrigation inside the district. It can also be interpreted that NID does not pump groundwater for ag irrigation inside the district.
Yeah, the second one is more accurate. Yes.
It's almost,
We know there are small ag operations that use wells, but they're not NID related.
I know a lot of people that went outside of the normal season, they have to irrigate their mandarins. They've got to pump a little water because they got no other source.
Yeah, absolutely.
Including us.
So I don't know if that needs to be clarified because I can read it both ways. I don't know. It's twice in the document. It's also in section, I missed it here, but there's another.
Did you say you're on page 26?
26 big, 6 small.
Big 6.
Big 26, small 6.
Okay.
Section 2.1.
Andy, we need colors.
And then
Okay.
there's another section that does the same thing.
We can add clarification that is the NID does not have any agricultural wells in our.
Big 52, small 32, section 3.32
32.
is the same thing. That was my main comments there.
Okay, thanks for that. We can add some clarification to that for sure.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Thank you all. So at this time, we will formally open the public hearing to hear public comment on the proposed Ag Water Management Plan. If you'd like to speak to that, this is your opportunity. Once again, we remind you to keep comments to 3 minutes, please.
Sure. I guess for me, and I don't know, there isn't any ag customers hardly in the room here. So even though we were notified, I guess, I have no idea when that was or how that was. Because usually raw water customers, I don't think get a lot of information from NID till our bills are due in the time they're due. So I'm thrilled to hear that there's not much change to it, but it would be nice to have somehow better notification. I don't know how to do that. Obviously, some people mentioned email, but I get hundreds of emails. So unless you called me and told me you sent one, I wouldn't know. So a text would be good for me. And then, well, just getting that notification out. So I think it's really important. Also when we have consultants speak, they have that little clicking thing, but doesn't seem to be an arrow that goes to things. I don't know how many people in the room here understood this, and including you folks, this presentation, because it's very complicated. And for the average person, and if you're not speaking right into the microphone so everybody can hear you, then it's really hard to follow. And so would appreciate just a little more time and energy put into those presentations so we can understand them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak at this time? There is someone online. Okay, Matthew, go ahead online.
There, I should be unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Matthew Martin. I am one of the representatives of the Clear Creek Water Association. We are in South County and we get our water from the Tar Ditch. I do not know who my representative is in this area and have never been able to actually vote in an election for a representative. So we are near the Becker Horse Ranch as a landmark. Again, we're all small landowners, so approximately 5 to 11 acres each. in our water association. And we're trying to understand, and this may have been an issue that should have been brought up in a previous meeting, but what we're trying to understand is the rate hikes that are proposed for this new ag water plan.
Okay, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're talking about the ag water management plan that's separate from the water rate discussion. And we will be having more hearings on that
Okay.
in the future. So
Okay.
that's
So
a
then
distinction there, and we will
Okay, I
be doing
appreciate
that.
that, sir.
So if you can follow along when we get to the next,
And I'd be happy to reach out, Matthew,
reach
and
out.
I can also connect you with your your director that is over your area.
That would be great. And we
Sure.
receive our notifications through Clear Creek Water Association. And again, is that women who spoke previously said, to the best of my knowledge, we did not receive any notifications in December or January regarding.
So
go ahead.
I was
Please
just
go
gonna,
ahead.
for all listening, Lily included a really good way to stay up to date with the district's happenings as we're going on is to subscribe to our general manager newsletter. It does come out one time per month, and it does contain all pertinent information related to what is coming up for the next month, so you can continue to participate. And also, always feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to always provide assistance. But Matthew, staff will reach out to you to discuss your concerns, and then we'll also provide you the contact information for the director that represents your area.
That's very appreciated. I apologize for.
Oh, you're just
speaking.
fine. No problem.
So please continue.
Matthew.
And as far as we are concerned, right now, it seems as though the ag water management plan is sustainable and makes sense.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
Hmm.
Anybody else, either online or in the public, would like to comment at this time on the update to the raw water management plan for the state? Okay. Anybody else? Going once. All right, that'll conclude our public hearing at this time. At this time, we will consider adopting a resolution to file and implement updates to the ag water management plan.
I move
Somebody
to,
like to make a motion.
yeah, I move to accept the ag water management plan.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion by the board?
Yeah, just quickly, I just thank you for a stellar job. This, you know,
Yes, and thank you all.
this lays out exactly how the district will operate and manage their waters under, surplus, drought, whatever. And it's really critical. And I just want to point out I can only assume the contribution that the Plan for Water modeling has really given to this document, because that Plan for Water modeling is state of the art. It's better than what the state of California has, and it gives us something really solid to push back against them if we have to, and that seems daily now, but in my opinion. But anyway, it's good job. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rich. And a lot of that credit goes to Tor and the consultants team, as well as Tanya. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Very thorough.
And then soon to come, the treated water management plan.
Yeah. Just a heads up, that is coming. We will send notification out as well.
Not to
This one have a
spoil the
resolution
party, but
number. I didn't note that. Was this a regular resolution, or is this a different?
2026-11.
okay. I move to accept 2026-11.
There we go.
Second. Still.
Still second. That was some kind of amendment. That's all right. Any further board discussion? Any comment from the public on the resolution? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 2.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
Thank you to the consultants for the public comment today.
Beautiful. Wow.
Next, we'll have the general manager's report.
All right, thank you, President Beerwagon. I just have a couple of items that I wanted to update you. As we kind of hit on earlier, we do have rain in the 10-day forecast, so keep your fingers crossed. It does look like there may be a little bit of snow, higher elevations, so we'll take anything we can get. There was some recent action on the Sites Reservoir project I thought the board might find interesting. There was an initial draft order issued by the administrating hearing officer from the State Water Board related to the water rate petitions that would be required to support the project. So stay tuned. I can send you the draft order if you'd like to read it. Some things were favorable to the sites projects and some things that were in the draft order are not favorable to the sites project. So we'll keep an eye out on that. As the board is aware, I think we discussed this at the last meeting, staff did a really good job of managing the Scotts Flat spillway meeting that is required with FERC as well as DSOD. So huge thank you to Peter, Gabe, as well as Roy for all of their effort. It ended up being a 3-day exercise. And Peter, am I correct that it's not over yet? We'll have one more day. So essentially, what the exercise is for is to identify all potential failure modes during construction activities. And so don't quote me on this, but I believe they started with 7 identified, that escalated to over 70, and then that got whittled back down over the 3 days. So once they find the failure modes, then they go through mitigation strategies to be able to address potential failure modes during construction. Our highest risk during construction is mostly associated with ensuring that any concrete that is poured for the new portion of the spillway is cured prior to getting into rainy season and any potential for any spill to occur. So staff is diligently working with the regulatory agencies. And then staff is also continuing discussions with DSOD as well as FERC related to the upper plunge pool. As the board is aware, DSOD kind of tagged on the upper plunge pool work that has significantly increased the costs of the project. So we're continuing to work with DSOD on determining whether or not that portion of the project needs to go forward at this point, or if it could be delayed to some other point.
I got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's being over-engineered and to an extreme cost. That's all be put on by the state. If we can delay the upper punch bowl, because that's in really good condition.
Yeah, that's my question. I'm sorry.
That's going to affect our water rates where we can lower them.
Yes, it certainly would. It would be dependent on what the final bids received on the lower chute work. So, for example, if the upper plunge pool, we were able to remove it from the project and or delay it to a secondary phase, hopefully, 10 years out, then yes, that would be a huge cost savings to the project, which then the board could take that cost savings and not implement a future rate increase. We would want to bid out the construction project to understand how the bids come in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I follow up?
And the upper plunge pool doesn't have significant damage. The concern is actually related to. So now remember, the lower chute was constructed in the 40s. The upper plunge pool was part of a raise that was done in the 60s. So the upper plunge pool is not as old. The problems with the upper plunge pool are related to the current vertical drainage system that is there. So DSOD has expressed concerns related to the drainage system. We have done some engineering analysis that recommends an alternative solution with installing some additional anchors to relieve any hydrostatic or could keep the slab down from any hydrostatic pressure.
So a lot of our water rate increase was due to the Scotts Flat spillway.
Yes, most of the water rate increase is related to Scotts Flat Spillway. If it wasn't for the Scotts Flat Spillway project, you would certainly be seeing a much lower proposed rates.
I think we've gone over some of this, but just for clarification, is that we're worried about going an extra season because of the curing time of the concrete. Is that correct?
Yeah, so with the addition of the upper plunge pool, so there's a couple of items that could cause the project to go to an additional season. That first one that the board addressed was whether or not to close the Scotts Flat campground or not. The board has made the preliminary decision to close the campground during construction, just that gate 1, which will allow us to kind of accelerate construction, not be having an active construction site within the camping season. The second item is related to the upper plunge pool. So that did add an extra season to the project at a minimum. So if that were to be removed, we'd be done even faster, less impacts to recreation
The
revenues.
follow-up on that would be, are we looking at the option of using accelerants in the concrete to be able to do more work during a season to not go over to the next
Yeah,
season?
that's been all. I'm going to look at Peter, who I can't see, but yes.
Thank you. Like if we can take the 28-day all the way down to 7 and then pour all the way up to 7 days before a storm or something like that, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it's related to the amount of free space within the reservoir before it starts raining. Because if the concrete wasn't cured or the concrete pouring wasn't finished, it would be catastrophic to have the reservoir spill. So most of that also will be managed with managing the reservoir levels itself.
Thank you.
And then that's all I had.
Okay. So if I hear correctly, the upper plunge pool is
Into your mic.
is a what? Oh,
Can't hear you.
the upper plunge pool is is an add-on. Okay, we know that. Less of a hazard or a danger to the failure of the spillway than the lower chute. Is that a fair assessment?
In our opinion, yes.
Our
In
opinion.
DSOD's opinion, well, I guess under any scenario, yes, the lower chute is more problematic than the upper
Right.
plunge pool. The concerns related to the upper plunge pool expressed by the regulatory agencies are related to the vertical drain system that's currently there. They believe that it could get backwater, water could go into the vertical drains,
Okay.
then getting underneath the slab and coming out the front.
Okay.
So we are continuing to push back on that issue because of the extensive cost estimate
right.
associated with that work,
Right.
but also that our own engineering analysis does indicate that additional installation of more anchors would be sufficient to relieve any issues or address the issue they're concerned about.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Director's reports.
I'll start.
Director Johansson.
Telemetry, is that ready to go out on the tar ditch? That's going to save some ditch tender 30 minutes a day or not more, maybe more. And so that's automatically going to come right into the office, tell everybody what the level is, and that ditch tender can go out and do more important things. Nice. Also, North Star, today it's 4:00, succession planning. There will be lawyers, FarmLink, a couple farmers there talking about succession and how they're passing on or have received their farms. And happy hour after from 6 to 7, North Star at sunset. That could be pretty nice. And then on the 31st, which is the Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday, the Resilience Project presentation from 4 to 6 at the Love Building. That will be there with a presentation on capital improvement projects. It's basically the Resilience Project program is people working together to get grant money to figure out how to do things more cheaply, better for the community and make it more resilient. And then I want to take a little minute. A lot of our soils do not have a lot of organic matter. Organic matter is quite interesting. 1% increase in organic matter will hold 25,000 gallons of water.
Is that per acre?
Per acre. So you take a little over 4 acres, and I mean, we've increased our organic matter from over 4%. So it's holding an extra 100,000 gallons of water. That's a considerable savings to us and to the district. Now, you take some of the range land and you start putting cover crops in, building that soil up, 25,000 gallons an acre, and you get up to 2%, 50,000 gallons per acre. And pretty soon you got a little over 6 acres, and that's an acre foot of savings. And 54 acres would be somewhere around a miner's inch. So there are considerable savings by increasing the organic matter in the soil.
How long is that good for in the season?
You know,
Any numbers on that?
when we first started with the pasture and then started working it, and I don't know, it just seems
It's a real thing. It's a
Yeah,
real-
I mean, it can decline if you don't keep adding the green manure or stuff, but I haven't seen a big decline at all. So,
Okay, thank you, Director Johnson. Director Fowler.
Actually, that's interesting. To Rich's,
It is.
we've been applying compost for a handful of years, and there is a marked contrast in grass growth, water retention, soil moisture. So yeah, we're doing all those things and can immediately see the benefit
and I would
at a
think-
significant
yeah.
cost.
I would even think green
Yes.
manure would be cheaper and faster.
Okay, I use what I have available to me. So
A lot of
You know
manure
what
over
green
here.
manure.
we do have a lot of manure. Thank you. So
Well, it's a different situation with pasture versus
so we're
vegetable grass.
so we're actually applying it to rangeland and irrigated pasture, and we can see the difference on both. It's as much as we can afford. So have had that, but that was an aside. Most interesting thing I've been dealing with lately is renewed interest in the electricity sales and distribution and the revenue opportunities presented by that. I've been approached a handful of times about that opportunity, and it sounds like there's a renewed interest locally in that enterprise. So I'm going to continue chasing that as it comes up. And then I'm looking forward to more conversations about storage. I'm glad we're progressing on the Rollins and any other storage opportunities. We're looking forward to continuing those conversations.
Thank you, Brad. Director Stevens.
Couple things here. As far as rates go, I was shocked last night when I took my son to Panda after sports, and it's gone up 20% here recently, which Panda is a great place to eat for cheap. So even that has gone up. Oh, I'm sorry. The prices at Panda for dinner have gone up 20% this recently. So it's pretty brutal. I would like to do anything we can for additional sources of revenue just to bring down costs. Your comment is welcome. I love it. Anything else we can do? You know how I'm trying to get water credits by our tailwater, trying to get any revenue credits we can off of the tailwater. If we could explore that, that would be wonderful. The accelerants on concrete I've already taken care of. On a positive note, mandarins are going into bloom. Pumpkin fields are being prepared. My brewery waste is wonderful for pumpkin fields. It brings up that organic matter very nicely, and it preps things very well. And last but not least, but baseball season is in full swing, and it's getting busy.
Okay, thank you, Director Stevens. For me, I just comment about the dry conditions, and we're blessed to have a well and a pond on our farm. So if you see water running on the Beer Wagon farm, it's not NID, it's our own water. So I'm putting in a plug for small ponds.
The micro pond has 56,000 views now.
I was concerned that had not gotten brought up in the meeting.
I was waiting for the organic matter to of all the.
He brought it up. It's great. But no, up
No, it is.
56,000 views. That's the number one viewed video we have on NID.
How many of those are you, Rich?
It's his kids.
All night long.
So I had other requests for spring water and was told that you can do an addendum or addition to your winter water if you want to purchase additional water. So that is available, but we'll cross our fingers for rain this week. So that's right on the edge. So
Forecasting 3 inches at my place.
oh, are they really? Oh, that's
Going up.
That's more than a sprinkle. Okay. Good. Okay, that's all we have. Is there any public comment on items to be considered in the closed session at this time? We will be going in closed session after this meeting. Any comments online or in the public? All right. With that, we will adjourn the open session and go into closed session. Thank you all for coming today.
Can we recess?